Welcome back to the Sad Dad Games podcast. I'm Shan.
I'm Eric.
I'm Tucker.
Today we're going to be talking about Death Stranding on the Beach, which is the second game. And we are going to do at least Episode 3, Drawbridge. We're going to try to do Episode 4, Raindrops, and Episode 5, Conflagration. But that's ambitious because Episode 3, Drawbridge, is replete with a plethora of details and lore and just so much to digest, so many references to pop culture. It's, yeah.
I think Kojima has a thing where he likes making his third chapter in his games very dense. Didn't he do the same thing in the first game? Chapter 3 is the one that's like 8 hours.
That's the Fragile episode.
Yeah.
But that was like 8 hours. So at
long.
least this one was like 3
6 or
4.
7.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah. So, yes. So where did we leave off last time? In episode 2, Fragile had just gotten your baby killed, and then she's like, well, it's time for you to start a new journey. Let's hop aboard the DHV Magellan.
She's like, I've got just the thing for when your best friend murders your baby on accident. Why don't you hop on this big flying ship and do stuff for me?
Which is it's a deep tar hunting vessel.
Yeah,
Magellan?
Or is it Panacea? Doesn't matter. Moving on. Okay, so we open the shot with Sam laying down and he's drenched in blue. So this, I was confused when I first started playing this because I couldn't make sense of what I was seeing, and so let's just continue talking about the scene, because about 10 minutes into the scene I was like, I know exactly what I'm looking at based on what we talked about in the first game. So he's in complete blue, and we know that happens when people are on the beach, but only if they are actually dead. If they're teleported to the beach, they're in color. And we know this because when Hartman was dead, he was in blue with all of the people that died with him in the Void Out. They were all in blue. And then when he got resuscitated, he came back in color and he was dragged off the beach.
Yeah, I think that it's blue, from what I understand, is the separation between your Ha and your Ka. That's what makes you blue.
Yeah.
Does that track?
That sounds right. Yes. Yeah, that's what I recall as well.
Yeah, I'm not going to be bellicose with you about that one specifically. All right, so
every once in a while, Shan has to give one to Tucker. You know, he can't shoot down everything that Tucker says.
Back.
Yeah,
that's right. All right, so on the floor, you see these gorgeous caustics flowing around and animating on the floor. And so you get the sense that you're like in an aquarium. Some gorgeous lighting effects going on. You see his fish swimming around his feet, and you see him starting to breathe out fog. So this effect is common when there's heavy Karelian in the area, high density. So we saw this even from the prologue of the first game, when there's a BT in the area, you see him starting to breathe fog because it goes colder. And as Sam looks in the mirror and the camera turns around his back, you see Lou in the mirror, and he's hallucinating his baby because he's having issues, and so this is going to be a common theme for him. Sam goes to the door. He meets up with Fragile coming through it, and she welcomes him to Drawbridge and the DHV Magellan with her fancy new beret.
So fancy. It's all off to the side. Yeah. You know, she's all what is it, dripped out? Is that a thing that young people say? She's dripped out with her fresh drip. You know, the threads. I'm hip. I'm cool.
Wow.
Please cut all of that. That made me sound so old.
Nope. It needs to stay in there.
Thanks.
So.
Yep.
This is something that I read, that Kojima in this game wanted to be more true to his actors and actresses and just their internal personalities. So, in this game, I think Fragile is a little bit more French because it's a French actress. She smokes. She has a beret. Yeah. Which is just really interesting.
She's got a baguette and a grocery bag.
Yeah, exactly. She constantly has a baguette.
That explains the cigarette, actually.
Yeah.
The cigarette and the beret. I have your baguette.
Yeah, so it's really interesting just as you go through the rest of the game, understanding like Kojima wanted to be, hey, I'm going to incorporate more of these actors, kind of, I don't know, quips, quirks, just how they are as a human
cultural
being into this game. So I think it's just really interesting as you're playing this game, because there are some little things that get tweaked from character to character from the first game to this game. And so it's just a really interesting just kind of little tweak that Kojima did for this game that I really appreciated.
Well, thank you for helping me understand that, because I couldn't understand why she took up smoking other than she has anxiety now from killing a baby,
jump
but
shock.
That just barely happened.
Yeah. It's a prescription for the jump shock.
Yeah, and the haircut, the bob haircut that she got.
I was going to say she had kind of a bob before in the first game, didn't she? It was like a little, like it was kind of around her. It was like a little slicked back, wasn't it? But it was. Yeah. I guess no, it wasn't this short
for this game.
Yeah.
All right, so the DHV Magellan. The Magellan was a Portuguese explorer who organized a Spanish expedition to the East Indies from 1519 to 1522. The first one to circumnavigate the globe, but he died early in the Philippines. So this is evocative of exploration. We find out later DHV stands for Deep Tar Hunting Vessel, but it's a prefix to the vessel that is similar to HMS and USS. So HMS stands for His or Her Majesty's Ship, when it's for the UK or for England, or under the Queen or the King, I guess you would say. And USS stands for United States Ship. So these are prefixes that are affixed to ships and vessels to denote which country they belong to and who is their commander, I guess.
Well, and it's very important to everyone in the game because no one ever calls it just the Magellan. They all call it
which drove me nuts the entire game. I'm like,
they
just
all
call
use
it the
the
Magellan.
whole
I don't
proper
need
thing.
Yeah.
Right. And the name Drawbridge just seems like a complete opposite in denotation from bridges itself. And so I feel like this is the first hint of Kojima leaving breadcrumbs for what will be the new theme of this game. And so why is it the opposite of connection from the first game? And so I'm not going to get into what the theme is because I feel like he was intentionally more kludgy in this game, so I want to save it for that discussion for later.
Thank you for letting me appreciate the kludginess at an appropriate pace.
No, I think
and not with the alacrity that you usually use.
Not with the alacrity that I really appreciate that.
No,
I really like my kludginess very alacritous. So.
Yeah. Like everybody.
Yeah, like everybody.
That's the only way to have your kludgy. No, like I agree with Shan. Like it kind of hit me like there's a lot of themes throughout this game. Kind of minor themes, but I think the overall theme kind of hits you at the end. I finished this game not too long ago, and it's something I'm still thinking about the end of this game, and so definitely worth the wait on playing it and then having it all hit you at once. Yeah, good for the soul.
It's a slow burn.
These guys, I'm still playing catch up a little bit. I have played a little bit past what we're going to be talking about today, but not a ton. I was out of town for like a week, and so I'm playing catch up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So she explains that Drawbridge is a civilian outfit, but they have a generous and faceless patron. She doesn't ask questions. Tarmin, who he meets right after, is a doctor, a geophysicist, a captain, and a pilot.
And so he's Australian.
Damn, son.
Yeah.
And I think he's also a fisherman.
He is credentialed. Yeah. He's a whaler.
Yeah.
Also, super
whaler,
cool thing about super cool thing about Tarman is he's played by George Miller, who is the director for the Mad Max films.
Yes.
I recognized it right away. I was like, "You're an Australian guy," and he's like, "You look vaguely familiar." And I like Googled it. I was like, "Oh, that's George Miller. He's the Mad Max guy." So it's another example of Kojima getting like a very prolific, famous director to play a part in one of his games. He did the same thing with Guillermo del Toro in the last game. So
yeah. For me, it was they introduced him as George Miller, and I was like, "Oh, that's George Miller from the Mad Max franchise."
Yeah. Shan didn't have to Google it. He's smarter than me. Yeah.
That's right. And so I immediately had the expectation when they introduced that that character that there was going to be allusions to the Mad Max franchise and lore in some capacity as we scoured the continent of Australia. And there is. It's not as heavy-handed as I had hoped, but it turns out Kojima was... and George Miller have a sort of bromance as fellow directors. They appreciate each other's world building and
well, they're both very good at it in very different ways. Yeah.
And I'm just impressed that George Miller knows so much about, Kojima and video games, because I only know him from the world of filmmaking, and so how does he know so much about a guy from the world of video games?
Yeah, I've also been quite surprised with George Miller's acting. He's doing a very solid job.
No, it's not him.
No? It's not him
it's
acting?
played by another guy.
Oh, well...
It's played by Marty Lone, who's an Australian singer-songwriter.
Oh, well, that is a little bit of a bummer and steps on the point I was going to make. But I'm quite enjoying Tarman. I really like his character. I'm bummed that he's not played by George Miller. That's
he has a very soft... personality and very warm, welcoming, convivial. Yeah. I love everything about Tarman. He's one of my very favorite characters throughout this whole game.
And a very cool intro with his hand and his little tar cat.
Yeah, what is that thing? It's got like an octopus tentacle tongue. I'm sure that I'll figure out more about what's going on with that thing later, but weird little winged tar cat. I mean, I'm here for it, but I don't get it yet.
Yeah. Well, this cat is so it seems like this cat is inspired by Tori-san, which means Mr. Bird, who is the avian companion of Captain Harlock, who is a space pirate with a flying ship from an anime from, I think, the 70s in Japan by Leiji Matsumoto. And so Japan has this sort of Spokane genre of anime, which is like a sports genre where everybody like comes together as a team, and it's romanticizes sports. And
you will never come together as a team and revenge us.
Yeah, but this anime was like antithetical to that notion, and it was like anti-sports, and it boasts of individuality being what's important and what will save humanity. And so what I thought was fascinating, I think that this is the point and what is the reference, is that each character in Captain Harlock has an individual goal, and that's what unifies them to work together.
Interesting.
So everybody that you eventually meet that works on the DHV Magellan, they don't have the same goal. They each have their own goal that unites them to work together in a unified way. And I think that's why he chose to reference Captain Harlock and use this bird companion as a sort of reference, but changed it for a cat, because he has like a black, weirdly
he's got like little
bird
wings
with wings. Yeah, and they change it for a cat instead. I assume that's what they're going for. It's the best I could find in connection. I think that's even... He might have actually said that's what it was inspired by. I'm not sure where I found that reference. And also, what's funny about Captain Harlock... So, in order to be syndicated in the U.S. as an anime, especially back at the time it came out, you had to have at least, I think, 60 episodes. And Captain Harlock only had like 30 or 40, and so they just straight up smashed it together with another anime by the same creator. And they just they did this with a previous show right before, a couple years before, and they took 3 anime shows with like 20 episodes each, and they just said, okay, it's 3 different generations, and so it's almost anthological, so it kind of worked. For this show, Captain Harlock and the 1,000-Year Queen or something like that, they straight up just like smash the scenes in between each other.
I love
and
that.
So it's a different art style.
Hilarious.
The narrative doesn't make sense, and it is a hot mess, and it did not go well, and it got canceled very quickly.
I can't imagine why. Seems like a foolproof idea.
We did it.
I had a fun time learning about Captain Harlock. Anyway.
Oh man.
Yeah, so yes, as for choosing George Miller, it seems like he has a big connection with a lot of directors and writers, but also it turns out he is known for being a celebrity collector, and so he has a Pokedex of scanned celebrities, and he'll invite them to his studio ever since he created Death Stranding 1, and it takes 15 minutes, and he'll just completely capture their likeness into his Pokedex so that he can put them into his games.
It's the most Kojima thing I think I've ever heard.
Yeah. And it sounds like Sam Lake does a similar thing, but he doesn't collect their likeness. He just likes to collect them as friends to have a coffee with or something. So these people are kind of like clout chasers for celebrity. But it's charming because he's Japanese. If this were like some American chasing clout in the celebrity world, in Hollywood world, I'd be like a little bit grossed out by it. I don't know why it's different. It's
for some reason when it's Kojima, it's like, oh. He's digitally capturing people like Pokemon.
That's right. Yeah. And so George Miller is not the only person who's captured but doesn't perform his own character in this game, but we'll get into that later.
Interesting.
They've just been scanned with their photogrammetry. Okay, so you see Tarman, he connects into this nav console with his stub that is been cut off at the nub with like this tar, and so we'll find out about that. Fragile says they have to bathe in Karelian for this to work. It's kind of a casual line, but I think that's just alluding to what I assume is, well, what I was confirmed to be correct is that they are in the Seam. So in the first game, while I was waxing philosophical about the mechanics and lore of the game, I had said that Higgs was using his umbilical cord hands to pull catchers out of this tar, and that was the catchers that you would see in the Seam, because you would see catchers in the Seam, and they're the same ones. And so when we saw at the beginning of this scene everybody was drenched in blue, and we find out later that they're swimming around in the tar in the DHV Magellan, I was like, oh my gosh, I was 100% correct. The tar is the Seam, and they're just swimming around in it, and that's why they're completely blue. I was right about that.
You did it, Shan. You did Death Stranding. You're the smartest boy in school.
Deeply happy about this one. But I think that's why they're bathing in Karelian, is because they are in the water of the Seam, which is completely drenched in Karelian because it's on the beach.
I know I was being facetious there, but I feel like accurately deducing and understanding something that Kojima has created but didn't explicitly explain is a pretty cool feat. So genuine congrats, Shan. That's impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah. Snaps for Shan.
Snaps for Shan, yeah.
I've been having a couple side texts with Tucker the last 2 days. I think I might be one of the only people on Earth that have found 1 or 2 other pieces of deep lore that was placed in this game, only because it's been like a week since the game came out. But I am very excited to share when the time comes.
Shan wanted to tweet at Kojima, and Shan hates social media. That's how impressive.
I wanted.
I did it. I understand your game.
Yeah.
No, like I scoured the internet and videos, and I juxtaposed images next to each other. I was like, Tucker, is this not exactly what I'm talking about? And I found shot for shot what I'm talking about, and I was like, I think I'm the only person that has discovered this. This is insane. But we'll talk about it.
Yeah, because only an insane person would figure that out because they are so seemingly unrelated.
And because Dollman didn't spoon feed it to the audience.
Yeah, exactly.
Friggin' Dollman.
Okay, Can we talk about Dollman for a sec? Last episode, I defended Dollman of just like, hey, I like this exposition character. I started playing the game again after we recorded that episode, and immediately Dollman became too much. It was just like he was like, okay, I'm the perfect amount, and I'm gonna spike and go way too much, and then towards the end it kind of tapers off again. So
was it when you got into a boss battle and he's like, here, let me keep pestering you with how to win this battle?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the most annoying thing ever. Atreus does that in God of War.
Yeah.
And it's stop talking. Let me figure it out myself.
Shut up about the boss battle.
Yeah. It's like there's a big glowing part. Of course I'm supposed to shoot that. I got it. I understand how boss battles work.
It's like in Zelda.
I've played a game before.
Hey, look, that thing has a giant eye. Why don't you shoot it?
Oh, really? Should I shoot it? Thanks. I had no idea, Fi.
Yeah.
Super annoying. Yeah, it never gets easier, and it really deflates the fun and the pacing of some of the most climactic moments of the game when you're like, wow, this is a very emotionally resonant moment, and then Dollman's like,
hey
by
Sam,
the way,
did you notice X, Y, Z?
This and this.
Yeah.
Like, shut up! I'm having a moment here. Oh yeah. Anyway.
Well, I haven't gotten to that point yet with Dollman. He's mostly just a watchtower I can keep in my pocket. That's all he is for me right now. But yeah.
Yeah. So now Fragile has taken up smoking, which we now know is because she's French. She's
all French people smoke. You heard it here first.
It's a fact.
It's a fact.
Now she's fragile.
If there's a French person that doesn't smoke, comment below, or else all French people smoke.
Yeah, we now know that she's fragile, but not that fragile because she's only fragile in name only. But
it's not like she didn't say that 1,000 times the first game.
Gosh, you're so ironic, fragile.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So she says they now need to connect Australia to the chiral network. Dollman sees Sam sees Lou's pod. Dollman interrupts. This is a man with his cod trapped inside of a puppet. He used to be a spirit medium. This is played by Fatih Akin, who is a Turkish-German director who has directed nothing of significance. He just begged Kojima to be scanned and then was placed in the game. But it was played by Jonathan Rumi. So this is another likeness played by another person. So, yeah.
Well, but he's a doll. It was barely a likeness anyways.
So Dollman, I love Dollman's animation in this game of how it's just slightly... I don't know what you call it.
It's decimated.
They decimate the frame rate.
It's decimated.
It's like what they do with the Spider-Verse movies. Yeah.
And Mario Wonder.
And just stop-go animation in general. It makes him feel like a claymation toy. Yeah.
Yeah, which is really cool when I don't know, just the visual of him in a space that's fully, I don't know the design words here.
Full frame rate.
Just full frame rate, and just I don't know. It's a really cool just contrast it really bugged me at first because I thought, oh, something's wrong with the game and my frame rate, and it was not. That's just it.
Yeah,
that's the game.
Well, and I really like getting to this scene, and because everything before this, it's a very long first couple chapters where it felt like I wanted to be pulled into a new world of Death Stranding and be captivated by new lore. and it felt like I was getting so much of the same that I wasn't going to be exposed to anything other than story with no new lore. And once I got to this, I felt the same like jaw-dropping moments that I felt in the first game, where I didn't know what I was looking at and I was mesmerized by every shot and trying to absorb it all. And so this scene specifically, it was like, okay, I'm back in Death Stranding's world and with a new vision.
Yeah, because it does kind of, especially towards the beginning of the game, it has this kind of like, it's almost like they're doing the same thing again, but, you know, with some different faces and stuff. And so there's an element of like, it feels a little bit like retreading, but then it'll start throwing you curveballs where you're like, oh no, this is a whole new thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Dollman says he's no longer a medium after his transformation, and so maybe this implies you apparently need to have a ha to be a medium to the beach. I don't know if there's anything to dissect there specifically, but he said he essentially lost his powers when he became a puppet that's caught trapped in a physical object. So I thought that was interesting. I didn't know if there was... I assume there's something deeper there that he connected in his head while he was making lore, and I haven't found the mechanic yet. Dahlman says that the pod is empty but fragile, shuts him the F up. So is Lou only there for Sam or for them all, but they can't see him?
Well, I mean...
But they all have dooms, so they should be able to sense BTs.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I was going to ask, I couldn't remember what level of Doom's Fragile had, but...
She's 3.
3, so same as Sam.
She's really high.
Yeah, she's really 3. It's a really high number, yeah.
Don't get too excited, that's out of 20.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of got that vibe too, where it was like Dahlman started to say something and then Fragile's like, shut up, he doesn't know. But it's like... So that got me wondering, is this all in Sam's head? Is there actually a BT in that pod? You know, so I don't have an answer to that question yet.
Yeah, it could be like a BT that only he can sense, but we've never seen a mechanic like that up until this point. But I don't think it's for us to know yet which of the two this is, just for something for us to revisit.
Also, when he plugs in, though, something in there makes his Odra deck work. So
that's true. He is connecting to something.
Yeah.
So we'll have to assume that he is connecting to a BT that they just aren't seeing. Okay.
All right. We'll put a pin in that.
Yeah, pin in it.
Yeah.
All right. Dahlman uses Lou as leverage to encourage him to hook up Australia in order to heal, which I don't think is the right move.
A little emotionally manipulative. Yeah.
Hey, sorry you lost your child. You better get back to work.
You know what would make you feel better? Running errands for me. Yeah.
Doing what I want you to do.
Yeah.
It would help you in these trying times. Orange mocha frappuccinos.
You know.
And hooking up Australia to the Chiral network. All right, so then the ship's hull opens up and color spills in, so they've emerged from the tar. Tarman says his hand is traveling through tar currents. It keeps the ship on course, so although his ha is physically separated, he seems to have maintained a metaphysical connection to his hand via his partially severed ka that is swimming in the seam. I assume that's the mechanic that's going on here. He still has a ka-connected hand that's swimming in the seam, and that's why he can metaphysically feel the current.
Yeah, it's Mr. Potato Head rules.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He got it from Toy Story.
Wasn't it? Didn't Mr. Potato Head, doesn't he cover his eyes at one point, and then he can see where something is? How did that work?
It is Mrs. Potato Head, actually, in one of the Toy Story movies, where she leaves her eye behind and she goes, "My eye!" And then she goes like this. She's like, "It's somewhere dark and cold."
That's it. Yeah. It's hilarious.
Spot on, Mrs. Potato Head.
Thank you. It was perfect.
Yeah. All right, so then he puts on a prosthetic arm that starts to move, and this is a very similar mechanic to Fragile's blue arms. So my opinion is that his actual Ka-infused arm that's floating around in the seam is actually what is controlling this prosthetic arm, but from like some chiral connection. And so if that is true, then Fragile's blue arms also probably have some kind of Ka magic or chiral connection to something that is causing them to work. But she has her own hand, so I don't know exactly, but I do think it's a similar mechanic.
It's like Bluetooth, but using the chiral network instead.
Yeah. Okay. And this also seems to be Dahlman's thing, right? He has a Ka that's connecting to a physical object. So I don't know that we had this in the first game where we have Kas that connect to physical objects. This might be a net new mechanic.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something in the first game that's similar to this. There's probably something little that we just didn't pick up on, if I had to take a guess if it is in the first game. But like, yeah, this felt very fresh and new lore to this specific game.
Is Heartman able to manipulate his Karelian hourglass when he's on the beach, or does he do it after he wakes up?
I don't think so, because
Okay, 'cause
Sam
that was
had
the
to turn
only
it
thing-
over, and
That's right. Yeah, that was the only thing that I could maybe think of. But yeah, I don't think he does interact. So yeah, maybe
Yeah,
new.
he flips it when he goes, and then he dies, and then it acts as like a beacon with a timer for him to get
bring him
back through the scene.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's right.
All right, so Sam needs to cross the Plategate into Mexico in order to connect the Cupid to the nearest chiral network terminal because the DHV Magellan can only travel in network. Lou now appears
just
as
like
physical.
U.S. health insurance.
Yeah, that's right. You have to be in network.
Sorry, I had that loaded up for this episode, and that's all I got.
He's like,
Sorry,
I'm just waiting for someone to say in
Yeah.
network. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, now Lou, at least according to our POV, appears as a physical, BB.
He just looks like he did in the first, or she looks like she did in the first game. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So we've now had BBT and a blue baby, and now this. So 3 different states. All right, so Sam still has his white hair, but he goes into his room, he cuts his hair, he dyes it, and so I think he's Gandalf the Browned himself.
Yep.
We're done with that. Kojima just wanted to use his mechanic.
It's like, wouldn't it be weird if Sam had white hair in the trailer? Yeah.
Yeah, just to throw people off. Even if it's just for that, I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so Fragile insists that Sam bring Dahlman, and Dahlman wants to ride shotgun instead of riding, on his rear. Yeah.
So that immediately made me think of Kratos from the newer God of War games, and how he always straps Mimir like right onto his back,
Wow,
like his
that's
butt.
right.
And so he goes to put him like right in the same place where Kratos puts Mimir, and then he's like, "Really, Sam? I want to write. What about shotgun?" And I was like, "That's 100% a God of War joke. If it's not, I don't know what it could be." Like,
You know what's funny is Mimir from God of War is played by Alistair Duncan, who is the president of the of APAC.
oh no way,
Oh,
same guy.
Interesting.
I
Same
didn't
guy.
know that.
The
Well, he
president.
does a very convincing Scottish accent in the God of War games. Yeah.
I
Or
think
very
he
convincing
is
English.
Acting.
acting. He's a Scottish actor and a real
Well, that
estate
makes
broker.
sense.
So
Oh,
he,
sweet.
can be
If you need a
two
house in Scotland.
multifaceted.
Yeah.
People can be two things. I was like, after you said Mimir, I was like, I just wrote a note about Mimir. Why did I write a note about him? And then I remembered it was because of that guy specifically. All right. So Sam connects to the pod and gets his first flashback. It's distinctly different, Eric, from the previous extreme close-up of his eye.
Okay.
And you noticed
Yeah,
it this
idiot.
time, right?
I'm sorry.
You idiot.
You're right.
Idiot.
I'm sorry.
The first one was multicolored, I think Aurora Borealis. Whereas this, I watched it 20 times at least, and the best I could make out was that these were like walls that were shrouded in blue with a face at the end of it, and it was a fisheye distorted effect.
Very Hall-like. The animation I think is the exact same through the rest of the game.
It's the same one every time.
Yeah, maybe you see it a lot.
Different points.
Yeah. It's very Hall-like.
I will say though, the rendering on this eyeball every single time, it looks like a real eyeball. It's incredible. It's very. Every time I'm struck by it again. It's like, man, that just looks like real life.
Yeah. And there's a lot that you have to do. So many layers to an eye in order to get it perfect, from what I understand. And I don't understand all the details. I know there's subsurface scattering and there's like layer of transparency and all that stuff that you have to get exactly right for in order for like light to play through and get the caustics, which is difficult, and very few games, if ever, have ever gotten this right, and even just movies start to get this right. And then you also have to get like the micro twitching of the eyes in order to make that feel realistic, and games didn't start doing that until the last few years. And even like I think they just barely went back in like the Last of Us remake of the first game and just like added that, and it added so much detail and immersion to the characters acting to have like those micro twitches of the eyes. The eyes sell a performance, and to be able to have this much confidence to do an extreme close-up of the eye and pull it off so convincingly is very impressive. Nobody does like a mocap like Kojima Studios.
Yeah, it's really like, and to use the Last of Us comparison again, like the Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2 have some of the best like mocap performances I've ever seen. But like this game gives those games a run for their money, and it might even be better in some cases. It's really incredible facial capture performances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So after you have this flashback, this flashback, you see the POV of a person getting on an elevator. 2 armed bridge soldiers standing there. One scans a badge. Cut to an ugly man asking you if you have a choice. It doesn't show his eyes. And then you see scrambling and walking backwards with a gun, holding a woman who's been shot, trying to stop her bleeding. And so we don't know anything about who this person is, who the woman is, who the ugly man is. But we know it's with the UCA because of the Bridges soldiers and some, nameless bureaucrat. And I'm sure we're going to revisit this so many times. There's no point in deliberating about it right now.
Yeah, this was something I was not expecting from this game, is when you connect to the BB pod that has Lou in it, you're getting whole new memories, where it feels like in the first game you kind of got Lou's whole story, but really it was Sam's story. And so I think that the flashbacks we're getting these are Lou's memories, not Sam's memories.
That's what's implied here, because we never got Lou's memories, but Dollman can see it for some reason, is what's said here.
Which is weird. Don't know why. Maybe because Dollman, because he doesn't have a body, it's kind of like equipment, and so when he's part of Sam's equipment and Sam hooks his equipment up to the BB pod, I don't know.
I thought maybe it had something to do with being a spirit medium, but he did say he lost that ability when he became a puppet. But maybe it's related to being a spirit medium.
Or just maybe it's meaning to be a exposition character, and he has to see it.
Maybe it's hand waving in order to get him involved. Yeah. Maybe just so he can explain what you saw every time you see it. Oh my gosh, did you see that? Oh, Sam, can you explain what you just saw? I'll explain it if you can.
Wow, is that Dollman? Oh, it's just Shan.
Nope, just Shan.
That's two, oh wait, is that this person? Oh no, it's just Shan or Eric jokes this episode, so
maybe cut out.
That. Yeah.
Alright, so you arrive at the Plategate, and this is definitely inspired by Stargate. I sent like 10 different images to Eric and Tucker with a side-by-side of the first time it shows the one of the characters walking through the Stargate, and he gets up to it. I think it even shows a mirror image of him in this ripple effect, Sims like water, and then he sticks his head through it, and then he's like ripped through it, particleized almost, and then he's transported through this winding wormhole, and then you see like these full circle rainbows as he's traveling through it. And so I mean, I'm jumping ahead of myself here because that's not to the part where we're at yet with Sam, but it is uncanny. But as for right now, when you first arrive at this place, you're seeing the Plategate, you're seeing these two disconnected parts of an arch, and it's supposed to connect you from one location to another. It is Stargate with a different design.
Yeah, it looks very... I didn't do all the the comparisons that Shan did, but my dad was a huge fan of old sci-fi movies, and so I watched Stargate a bunch as a kid. And I mean, maybe not as a kid, but preteen. But I got Stargate vibes hardcore when I was walking through the Plategate. I was like, oh man, it's like Stargate. So when Shan sent all of those, I was like, yep, that's why that felt familiar.
Yeah. So as you arrive there, you're seeing plasma bolts go off. It's beautiful look and kind of ominous tone. Then you see red-hooded, seemingly syncretic religious entities emerge from the tar with mini coffins on their back, and they're carrying a giant coffin as palm bearers, it appears. So this seems like a funeral cortege or a procession for royalty almost, heading towards the Plategate, and they're just kind of ignoring all of the plasma bolts. They don't seem to care about that. I don't know. Just to be cool. I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah, it also seemed like these people in red were the same ones that stopped you from getting back to your house when BB and Fragile were being attacked. So maybe they're connected to the attackers on your... not a lot of other people wearing bright red sarcophaguses everywhere they go, so...
That's right. Yeah. The game has two different sects of enemies that are clothed
bright red robes. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So there is an insert here of a close-up with a staff that, or I think it's maybe the head of the sarcophagus, and it has religious iconography. So this is an almost symmetrical figure that's hooded. This reminds me of Higgs having his robe in Death Stranding 1, and that was supposed to be evocative of an Egyptian prophet. And it has these non-symmetrical, or asymmetrical, I guess you could say, bars above it. And so I think this is supposed to be evocative of Tarfall that we'll see later. Anyway, I think it's Tarfall. And then underneath that you see this inverted a half circle with rays shooting out of it. I think this is supposed to be an inverted rainbow.
Yeah.
A chiral rainbow.
Well, it has 5 things coming out of it too, like the 5 beings, right?
Oh, the big 5. That makes sense.
Is it 5? I'm trying to remember now. Let me look at my notes. Actually, I don't remember if it is 5. But if it is, that's what I thought it was.
The number has to mean something. So if it's the big 5 extinctions, that makes a lot of sense, especially because it's inverted.
Gotta look it up.
I love that.
I hope that if I'm wrong, I'm going to be so mad.
No, I think it's 5. That sounds right. So as you're looking that up, it seems like they're on a sort of pilgrimage heading up towards the Stargate. These mechs...
I don't want to Google it too much and get spoiled, so I'm going to just
I'll look it up because I know about these things. No, well, okay, never mind. I'm talking.
Well, it's fine. We'll do it later. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll come back to it.
All right.
We'll assume that I'm right, and then we'll... Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it is. All right. So I looked into this. These mechs, which are gorgeous, were designed by Yoji Shinkawa. who was the designer for Metal Gear and Death Stranding 1.
Yep. They had Metal Gear vibes, something fierce.
Yeah. We don't see anything like it here, but their heads were inspired by the biomechanical aesthetic of H.R. Geiger's xenomorph design in Alien. H.R. Geiger also worked on Poltergeist and Species. So I think, Shinkawa was just told, hey, I'm going to work with something that is fusing, the bio with the mechanical, and he looks up the most famous person to have ever done that, the person who worked on Alien, and he was inspired by that, and so these creatures will see more and more and more look very much like xenomorphs.
Nice. I'm here for it.
I love it. I've seen xenomorphs ripped off 100 different ways, and I always love it.
They are the perfect organism. Isn't that the thing? They're the perfect organism.
That's right. That's right. All right. So arriving at the gate, Sam sees a reflection of himself. Then up in the air, he sees an inverted swimming whale, identical to the Seam's whales, but in the Seam, the whales are upside down. And then he sees schools of fish swimming around. So he sees them, but they're in full color, and they're just kind of swimming in mid-air, but it's water, but it's clear, translucent. So we're seeing a lot of new science-y mechanics going on at this Plategate.
Yeah, I was going to say, specifically the Plategate doesn't seem quite like anything that we have seen related to chirality and the beach, and it's a lot of new visuals, or recycled visuals in a new way. So. Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is where we get really wonky with things that none of us understand, right? So he enters a liminal space when he walks through, and you see like this water splashing effect, and it's like slowed down ripple or splashing effect, so it's kind of a really cool, I don't know, I like how this looks. I like what they've done with this effect. So he enters this liminal space and pops out, and he's completely desaturated in white, similar to the white BTs that you see in the Seam, like the white whales and stuff like that. But while he's there, you see an inverted reflection behind him. So it's similar to right before he walked in, he could see himself as a reflection. Now you're seeing it behind him. He's naked again. But he's not in a dream. He's usually naked in a dream. And then he starts to hue shift. Colors start to wash over him. And an echo of him is kind of faded behind him as a shadow. And he's in this sort of water tunnel. And he appears... I'm calling this a seam hole, because I think it's a wormhole. And, yes. So you see... turtles and fish swimming around in the tunnel, and you also later see a giant whale, but it's swimming upright next to him. So for some reason we've always seen whales and fish swimming upside down in the Seam, and we saw them swimming upside down before he went into the Plategate. But while he's in this space, which is not the literal Seam and not that space specifically, this is a new liminal space, everything's upright. So I think this denotes that the whales that we see in the Seam actually do think that they're swimming upright. And this is the space that they're swimming upright. And when we see them in the Seam, that is like a refracted or like reflected, or... It's
a reflection. We're seeing a reflected version of that. Yeah.
Exactly. That's my thought.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Is weird for me to like kind of explain, but but this is the first time we've seen whales swim upright, and I think that explains it.
Yeah. Also, well, no. So while you were talking, I had the thought of in the last game we learn about how the chiral network can send things basically through time, that it can transfer data, massive amounts of data so quickly that it's almost like it's sending it back in time. So we're seeing the chiral network and chirality being used to transport data and structures and matter through time. And now this Plategate is an example of that exact same thing, things being sent, matter and data and whatever being sent through space. And so it's another example of Kojima taking a concept that he's covered before and then using it to cover a new concept. But he did that a lot with characters in the last game. He's done that a little bit with characters in this game, where we're just seeing him take concepts and be like, all right, well, we've seen how the Death Stranding affects how you can, time. Now let's see how the Death Stranding affects space. And so I like how he has more ideas. He takes more things and expands upon them in different interesting ways.
Yeah, this is a dimension wrapping in on itself as a wormhole would. Yeah, so I think the hue shifting and the colors flashing over him is colors leaking through the seam. I think this is the cusp of the seam because, and so that's why all the colors kind of spilling out into the real world, or it's being sucked through the seam. And so on the other side, if you were to go through the sides of the water tunnel and go into the seam, you would be in blue because all the color is being sucked out through the wormhole's walls. And that's also why you're getting the chiral rainbow, because that's the thing, these rainbows that we're seeing, they're inverted. You usually see red on the outer arc, but here it is violet that's on the outer arc because the whole rainbow is a chiral rainbow. It's been inverted due to the physics here. So that would imply that the color's leaking in it or being refracted in an inverted way due to the chiralium that is inside of this tunnel. Gosh, sorry. I had to think about this for so long. But yes, and so this is definitely directly referencing that shot in Stargate where you see correct circles of rainbows through the tunnel. But here you have chiralium refracting in an inverted way. So he looks onward through the tunnel and he sees those rainbows, and then and then you see the big five at the end with standing in a large center of light. Sorry, I'm skipping a bunch of bad sci-fi that I had written around all of this. All right. And so I think that they are on the beach of sorts, and they're still observing him from there, trying to see what he's doing, because that's kind of what they were doing originally in the first game. And also, the whale that you see swimming over the shot, I think, as best as I could tell, these are layered shots. He's not swimming on the side. I think the beach and the seam are kind of layered on top of this wormhole. It's a very weird effect for me to understand visually.
Yeah, I'm still trying to pick apart and understand how exactly the Plategate works. I'm assuming it's not the only time in the game you use the Plategate. I kind of have a feeling it's something I'm going to come back to later, so I'll get another chance to contemplate and think about it. But it's, visually it was, I probably should have gone back and watched a video and tried to pick apart its meaning like Shan has, because I was just kind of too dumbstruck with how visually interesting and complex what everything that was happening was.
Yeah, so after all that nonsense, Sam emerges from that cosmic liminal space into Australia. So this is definitely referencing Kubrick's Space Odyssey, when David Bowman travels through the Stargate, because you see at that moment just this psychedelic display of colors as he's transported to some weird liminal space where he transforms through different time and space and then becomes a baby. And I know that this is his second favorite movie. It's a very hard movie to understand, but it is a must see for all dads out there.
Or
But
just
he's also Yeah.
Because
it's a guy's movie.
The just cultural literacy that movie explains is just so much. That movie is everywhere. There's so many references to it that I think everybody needs to watch that.
That and Blade Runner are like the progenitor of all sci-fi. And watching watching Space Odyssey now, I remember telling Tucker, I was like, I'm pretty sure that came out like in 68 or 69, and Tucker's like, that's impossible. And he had to look it up, and I wasn't sure I even got it right, because like the visuals are so stunning and the practical effects are like nothing that we would see for like another decade or two. Well, and then they started pushing into CGI after that, but like obviously Aliens had some of the best practical effects I'd ever seen, in Terminator 2, but that had a lot of CGI. But like we started to get messy with practical / computer effects after that, and this was like pure practical effects plus like that psychedelic scene, which was like filmic effects. But it is so well done that I couldn't understand how they did it without computers until I saw behind the scenes, because it is so jaw-dropping, like how they did no gravity and everything like that.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the movie, there's a scene where you have two people in a deep space vessel, and it is like a one camera shot of them in zero gravity, and it just blows your freaking mind how they made this shot work without computers.
Restrictions breed creativity. When you just kind of have to do the best with what you've got, people get extremely creative. Yeah.
Well, and like I couldn't comprehend what I was looking at when I first saw the movie, just because he had like this shot of like a pen floating in this chamber, and I was like, how did they paint out the wires that were holding up this pen floating around in this perfect linear arc of animation? And I couldn't comprehend it. And then I find out it was just a perfectly clear piece of glass that they had adhered it to, and they were just just rotating it.
I'm a ghost.
Phenomenal. I think Christopher Nolan took a lot of cues from his practical set designs for like Interstellar and for Inception, because he went above and beyond for like doing this one gorgeous one shot of a guy walking around in this centrifugal space.
It's like the fight scene in the hallway, but the gravity is changing while they're in the hallway, and so they built this whole rotating hallway.
Yeah. But in this movie, it's just like one man is like in space and he's running on a space station in this circular area, and the camera just follows him seamlessly as he does like a complete 360 around this thing. I was like, I don't understand how they did that. And it turns out it's similar to Inception, where they just like built this thing and rotated it and ran along with him. It's incredible.
They just stuck it on a really clean piece of glass.
And they just went, ooh.
I love that so much. And the fact that it looks more impressive and is more jaw-dropping than a lot of CGI effects, it's like,
yeah,
there's something to that.
Well, and I couldn't even understand, like, I know that back then a lot of people were using miniatures for like their spaceships and stuff like that, but you could usually tell because the lighting was weird or off or something. And like here, it's like I can't even see movies with like, it wasn't until the last 10 years that CGI could do spaceships in space with correct lighting in a way that could fool you so correctly as this movie could.
Yeah.
And like Star Trek and stuff in Star Wars, they couldn't get it right. Like, I don't know how he got the lighting so phenomenally perfect on these spacecrafts. And if there's no other reason to watch 2001 Space Odyssey, it's to understand the reference in Zoolander when Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson turn into primates because they're trying to access the files on the computer.
In the computer.
The computer.
And then they discover a tool, which is I think it's a bone on the desk, and he goes to smash the computer. That's direct reference to the opening sequence of Space Odyssey, the moment that Primate had discovered tools and had progressed their evolution.
And just immediately leads to murder. So fast.
Step 1, discover tools. Step 2, kill everyone you know. Yeah.
That's right. All right, well, I could go on, but it's a great movie. Okay, so back at the DHV, Magellan Sam meets Charlie. It's a mannequin bust. It's their patron. It's not a pass and wants to be anonymous. It forces you to choose Die Hardman, which is a familiar voice actor for missions.
I was so bummed out by this. I'm like, I want anybody but Die Hardman. He was my last choice by a mile.
I wanted Lochner.
I picked Lochner as well. I did this. So in my notes here, I have, let's see, my notes about Charlie. It says, Charlie is weird as hell. And those are all of the notes that I have on Charlie. It's just like this mannequin that pops out of the ground with a projector face. And it's like, what am I looking at here? Like, what's going on?
Okay, I want to, clarify. It's like a bust of a mannequin that you found outside of a dumpster.
Yeah, it's not a good mannequin.
No.
It's a DM, a dumpster mannequin.
It's a leftover mannequin.
And it's just like on this pedestal that just comes out of the floor.
A pedal stool. What is a pedal stool? Great Irish accent.
Yeah.
We're all really good at that.
Yeah. Now, it uses old clips from Death Stranding 1 to make you cycle through the other voice actors as options, so I'm guessing he wasn't able to get all of the voice actors to come back as characters for this movie. So that made me sad because I wanted them all to come back. I wanted him to find any excuse to write them back into this game because I found them all to be charming, except Die Hardman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't hate Die Hardman, but I felt like he was the most milquetoast of the bunch.
Yeah, Tommy Earl Jenkins though does have gravitas, and so I'll give him that. He was great for voicing directives and stuff like that. It felt like he had the ethos to say, "Hey, go do your duty, go take care of connecting the country and stuff." That worked for me.
Well, I really had no problem with Die Hardman in the game, in the first game. I just, out of all of the cast of characters are so interesting and so. They were just so interesting, and so Die Hardman kind of just fell to the bottom of that barrel just by virtue of being a good character. He wasn't fantastic like everybody else. He was just good, and so by default he just kind of wasn't as good as the other ones because the other characters were just so interesting and deep. And I feel like I'm talking in circles, but he's not a bad character. Everyone else was just better.
Well, for me, it was when he blubbered at the end of Death Stranding 1 like a pussy.
He does blubber a little bit. He's very blubbery.
Yeah. I was like, that's not presidential. Pick yourself up, man.
Come on.
Yeah. Anyway, so they explained with no president, the UCA turned to APAC because APAS can ascertain public opinion in real time. So this is a privately owned corporation. Okay, buddy, because, when has a privately owned corporation ever had the best interests of the people?
It's totally fine. You just give this to us. You don't worry about a thing. We'll take good care of you guys, says this privately owned corporation.
Yeah. This is where the United States is heading. They want to hand over control to corporations. They want techno-feudalism. This is where we're inevitably heading. We will give up our rights for convenience, and they will make decisions for us.
Yeah. Listen, I've been playing Cyberpunk 2077 because I got the Switch 2, and I've been playing that game, and it's very much like very late stage capitalist society. And I also went to New York last week, and I saw a few too many similarities with some of the marketing, and I was like, ooh, that's borderline dystopian.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't remember where I was going to rant about this.
We were talking about Charlie and the corporation running the company, or the America.
I did think this would be an interesting app idea a couple of years ago, where it's if you could prove your identity in an app and have this relay to your congressperson proven by address, and be able to in real time voice your opinion about any given policy, so that they can have their a finger to the pulse of the people and actually vote according to that. But then I reminded myself that that's never how they voted in the first place, and that it's always been lobbyist money, and then they just ignore you. But it was fascinating when he brought this up. I was like, that was kind of my idea, but now he has a pass. I love that. So anyway, the president appears on the ship suddenly. And
Boo!
He has.
I'm here.
Yeah.
This
the president.
Yeah, he has an. The first thing you'll notice is that he has a pearl earring on his left ear. You can't unsee it, right? Is
that the gay ear? I don't remember.
No, I looked at it.
Do you remember when we were all '90s kids, and when we were kids, there were two earrings, and one of them was the gay ear. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
Gay ear. How old are you, Eric? No.
I feel like I needed to clarify the joke. No problem with gay people. Just making a '90s joke.
So the right ear is the gay ear, and he had it in the left ear.
Okay, so he's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always had to do both ears just to be safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, do both ears.
Yeah.
Then you're bi, right?
Yeah.
Although I don't think bisexual was a thing back. No, it was. Bisexual was recognized first, right? Because I think back in like the 80s or something.
Man, I don't know. I don't keep
No.
track.
I don't know the history of this stuff, right? But like, as far as I can tell, it seemed like all like musicians that were actually gay just came out as bisexual because that was more acceptable, because at least then you liked the opposite sex, so you could kind of pretend.
It's a middle
ground. It felt like Freddie Mercury or Elton John or something. You would just come out as bi, and you're like, yeah, see, like everything's still cool, right? Eric, I did see Bohemian Rhapsody, and that movie rocks.
It's great, right? It's a good movie. Great music.
Did you just watch that?
I just watched it on the plane back from North Carolina.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
That guy rocked harder than anybody alive.
Yeah.
Listen, Freddie Mercury, absolute legend. Just, I mean, that whole band. Well, I'm going to go on a slight tangent. I love Queen. One of my favorite things about Queen is that all four of them were incredibly gifted, very talented musicians. Like, Freddie Mercury gets a lot of the credit, deservedly. He was something special. But like every band member in Queen, they were all very talented songwriters and very talented musicians that came together and made incredible music. Good stuff. Great movie.
Their rock ballads go harder than like anything that's ever existed. Like,
yeah,
like
just good stuff, man.
I don't know. It's transcendental music. There are just so few people that I feel like will live forever in that way. Like Michael Jackson's music, Queen. It's like, obviously you know big names, but then there are like the seminal names like the Beatles and those. It's like, this is different. This is AAA status. This is something that is not quantifiable by any metrics. How did this person ever have this talent?
Yeah, we're big.
And I can't say anybody really has it by those metrics even today.
It's not the same, yeah. We're big, like, listen to the Beatles and Queen and stuff in the car, and so, like, my kids know all the words to Bohemian Rhapsody, and they sing along, and, like, so we're big fans, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, so, so this is Alistair Duncan. He also played Celebrimbor in Shadow of War, along with Mimir in God of War. And
I did not. Wow, look at this guy. Very versatile. Yeah. No idea.
Yeah, and various characters in Mass Effect. I threw that on the list because I figured Eric would like that.
Ooh, I wonder what various characters. I love Mass Effect.
Shepard.
Shepard.
The various characters.
Yeah, he plays Shepard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he explains he wants to connect Australia to manifest more Plategates for connecting more of the world, and it pans around to show he is stamped with the APAC logo on his neck, so he is hardcore into
He's
this.
in it. Yeah.
Just, also,
no half measures.
They make it such a big point that, this is not about territorial expansionism, and I'm just like, Yes, it is, because you're denying it so
sure about
hard.
that? You sure about that?
Yeah.
It's like the whenever someone's saying something over and over again, it's like, you're really trying hard to convince me that that's not the case, but I kind of feel like it is.
Yeah. Also, if you ever want to be right about government or corporations, just take the most cynical approach or opinion on it, and you will always be right.
You'll be right 100% of the time.
So yes, they're expansionists, they're colonialists, they're they want all of it. They have some of that good old fashioned greed.
We're not trying to expand the UCA. We just want to connect everybody because we're so nice.
We're altruistic
right.
as a country and as a corporation, a private entity.
I'm not buying that for a second. Yeah.
We have the people in mind. We don't want to appease our shareholders. Yeah, they have a fiduciary responsibility to maximize shareholder value. Of course they're expansionists, right? I think he doth protest too much.
Bunch of fadouche bags.
Anyway, so he has a little, what I thought was a crab pin, but at this point on his lapel, but it starts to move. What the hell?
Okay, yeah. Can we talk about crabs for a sec? Because this was something that...
I guess, Tucker, we're talking about video games, but, if you want to talk about a personal issue, that's fine.
Now, let's talk about Alaskan king crab and how delicious it is.
Oh my gosh, it's my favorite food. It's so good.
No, but so crabs were a thing in Death Stranding 1, just on the beach, just a creature on the beach. There were some dead ones. But then the crabs pop up again here. And so it feels like crabs are a little bit more intertwined in the lore than I originally would have guessed. But I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. I have no idea what they would be,
if the HPH whatever Magellan is going through the tar pits in the sea, the HPZ, I'm going to do different letters every time. The RGF Magellan, HPV Magellan. So the NLQ Magellan, it travels through the tar pits, and the seam, right? And so when it surfaces, it stands to reason that might cause some crabs to appear, maybe.
But then you have the president who's a chirogram that has a crab. That's kind of where it really hit me. Like, are there crabs more or less more involved in this lore? And
maybe he just likes crabs. It's his favorite
They've never
food.
said he's a chirogram in this scene. He doesn't flash.
The president?
Yeah. He's appeared there, but it was after panning behind somebody's back that the camera showed he was there. But he never flashes in any way.
Oh, okay.
I think he's physically there.
Okay, that would make sense. I just assumed it was a chirogram, just based how he just popped out of nowhere.
No, I think it was just supposed to prove that. I think it's supposed to give him like a sinister undertone, but he's physically there and it's creepy.
Okay.
Suddenly, he was there. Yeah, and so as he's talking, this mini crab just starts to crawl across his chest, and he just kind of ignores it. So, it kind of gives this feeling that he's duplicitous in some way, like because it's got like a creepy like. It's like it reminds me of like on the Mummy when like.
Okay, I was just gonna say I was gonna bring up the Mummy for Shan because
waiting for Shan to bring up the Mummy. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing like. Crawls out of his chest, or it like it crawls out of his face, or no, it crawls out of his chest up his face and then into his cheek, and then he bites it. It has those feels of like, well, this guy's weird, and I don't like looking at him right now. It's uncanny.
Definitely super trustworthy, and totally friendly.
President of a corporation with our best interest in mind, has crabs crawl over him. Yeah,
he's a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
All right, and then Sam asks what his relationship is with Charlie, and he says he just wants to coordinate to carry out this plan. Then it shows, it whips around. It shows Amelie is behind Charlie holding a baby, but you don't know if it's Lou or baby Sam, but probably Lou because of his earlier hallucination. So,
yeah, I was 50-50 on that because it's uncanny to the first game where when she repatriates Sam, and like picks him up from the beach and is like, "Oh, there you are." So I wasn't sure if it was a similar. Okay, if it's Lou, is she doing the same thing? Are we going to get Lou back as the second repatriate here?
Yeah, that's what I wanted. But yeah, I felt like it's like, is this pure hallucination, or is she holding on to Lou? Hey, I'm saving Lou for you. I want to give, or maybe he's dreaming that. I don't know. Maybe that's what he wants. All right, so Sam accepts this call to action because it's the only thing he's good at, which the subtext to that line is that he feels like he's failed at being a dad, which is unfair because it's Fragile who's failed at being
is Fragile's fault.
A babysitter.
Yeah.
So
not just a babysitter. She sent you away on a mission for her and said, "I'll watch your baby."
It's
and
like
then pooched
on
it.
New Girl when Winston's like, "Hey, killed your cat." It's like this, but it's like, "Hey, killed your kid."
Yep. Same thing.
Anyway, so we get another pod flashback, a man holding a gun, another yelling not to shoot. Then the POV man is trying to stop a faceless woman from bleeding out, so it's similar to the first one. Why the POV of an old man if this is supposed to be Lou? Or is this of Sam?
So my first thought is like maybe because time moves differently on the beach and all these different chiral connections, is my initial thought was like, oh, is this going to be a Sam in the future type of, so it's a flash forward and it's not a flashback.
Okay. If time is non-linear.
Yeah, if time's non-linear, which to me would make sense of, hey, this is Death Stranding 2, this is a new game, we've explored the backwards, now let's explore the future. But
It's
that was
like that twist.
Very loose, yeah.
Yeah, it's like on Lost Season 3 when you get the twist of it's a flash forward instead of flashback.
What a twist.
Ooh, what a twist.
Yeah, I've
Also,
been
Robot
pretty...
Chicken references,
Yeah.
so underrated, and I think there's probably 5 people in the world that get that at this point.
I don't know. It was pretty popular for a minute there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still not making a lot of sense of these scenes when you connect to the BB pod. I'm still kind of trying to piece it together. So I have no answers yet.
Yeah, I kind of just let them happen. I was more confused about why we're getting this POV. That was the most confusing part. I wanted to know the mechanics of how it connected. Is it Lou or Sam?
I kind of came at these with the attitude of like, I watch them and I contemplate them for a minute, but then I was like, okay, well, they're not giving me enough. I'm sure it'll make sense later. So I'm sure I'll get a few more of those things when I connect to the BB pod, and hopefully sooner or later I'll start being able to put it together. But I have no idea right now.
Plus, like it often retreads the same ground in these flashbacks or flash forwards. In a way that the first game didn't. It felt like the first game, it had a much bigger scene to cut up and spoon feed you, whereas this, it's like, I saw a lot of that just barely. So
yeah, it seems like the same, like it's repeating a lot of things.
It's much shorter, but just giving you like different cuts of that same shot. All right, so he goes to his room. He dreams of a black-dressed Amelie on the beach. So we know every time she's in black, it's because it's the extinction entity motivated version of herself. When she's dressed in red, it's the warm version of herself that's connected more deeply in a cause sense to Sam. So then, and then we get the shot of the chiral rainbow refraction, and she's crying. Cut to her hugging Sam at the end of Death Stranding 1 before pushing him down from her personal beach into his beach. But at the end, he reaches up and it shows a baby hand. But if you go back to Death Stranding 1, you immediately see, after she pushes him in, a big blue naked adult butt. Just big blue butt. So this is a completely different shot. They made this up. This wasn't in Death Stranding 1. Or at least the baby hand. So the baby hand is what's important. Which We just saw her holding a baby, which we thought maybe was Lou, and now we're seeing her flashback to repatriating Sam, but pushing him through and then seeing a baby. Is it denoting that she's repatriating Lou? I don't know.
I obviously I haven't played through the whole game like you guys have, so I know that you have answers that you're keeping from me. There's part of me there's part of me that really wants them to repatriate Lou, that wants that to be a thing that happens, but there's part of me that doesn't want to cheapen the that story beat, and so I'm wondering. I don't know. That's all I really had to say about that. Is I'm really interested to see how that plays out, because I feel like it's that you got two sides to that. It could feel really good to get Lou back and be like, oh, good, it's not, she's not gone. But also at the same time, it's like, I feel like it takes a lot of courage to kill an important character like that, and you kind of backpedal a little bit on that when you bring him back,
Yeah, so long as the death has meaning and the character arcs through that meaning throughout the story.
Yeah.
And so far it seems like Sam just is, well, you do see he's denying. So that's part of the arc of grievance is the denial. So I don't know at this point in the game if he goes through other stages, but we know that he isn't arcing at any point right now. He's just burying it. I just know that as soon as Lou died, I was like, well, I know that there is a repatriation mechanic, and I don't want that baby to be dead. So that's where I was at.
I want her to be back, please.
And so I just worked through my head, what are all the ways that this could happen? Amelie's the only one that could do it. How do I get that baby into Amelie's hands?
Yeah. Come on. Let's fix this problem, please. Bring the baby back.
And so, yeah. The whole story, I was like, I was looking for ways.
Bring the baby back.
Hey, there it is.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so we get another pod vision, a gun pointed at the gov official giving his word. Then the dying woman, Bridges bursts in and shoots the man, and it shows an insert of the man with a circle scar on his hand. We don't know who this man is, but it is not Sam.
Yep. The first time in the scene, I had to rewatch it. I thought it was the smiley face, or the I think it's not a smiley face, but Sam has like a face tattoo in a similar spot on his hand.
He's got like a little skull on his hand and then his knuckles.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I thought it was.
You thought maybe he was covering it up like what's her face on the last.
Yeah, or just trying to or if it was like a tattoo removal, Ellie. Just kind of got burned with the scar. But after rewatching it, yeah, it's very different than the actual. It kind of looks like it has two eyes, but it's something very different.
It almost looks like a yin and yang thing, but it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had just remembered a thought that I had as I was going over my notes here, is I was thinking that if these are potentially Lou's memories, could this be some flashbacks of some goings on in the Manhattan Project? Because Lou was a product of that, wasn't she? Yeah.
We don't know that Lou was a product of the Manhattan Project. We never got that established.
So that was a thought that I had, is I was wondering if maybe that's the case, and maybe not.
We are to understand that BBs should only exist for a couple years, and the Manhattan Project happened over a decade ago.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So maybe not then. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
And the Manhattan Project was like I think it was like the OG. No, it wasn't the OG Void Out, but it was one of the first, and it was supposed to be around the Manhattan Project was like the exploration of BBs and the nascent. It's what created the first successful BB.
Which didn't we find out that was like when Sam was a baby as a BB? Because isn't that the flashbacks of the first episode or the first game? Sam in the pod.
Sam was the first. No, Sam. They tried to make Sam into a BB, but that one failed because he was repatriated. So,
but that was the Manhattan Project, right?
I think it was the Manhattan Project. Though,
okay.
But he wasn't the first successful one. They just had to try again. Anyway. Yeah. All right. It's complicated. So, as you're traveling around, you get to connect to one person, the musician, and this is played by Gen Hoshino. I listened to some of his music. It's tight, so go listen to it. It's a Japanese musician. He's cool. Then you have.
I listened to some of the songs like in the game. I didn't go search them up.
Yeah,
he has one song in the game.
Oh, I thought the. Never mind.
Yeah, also love this new addition to the game of where you can have a playlist as you're traveling in the Chiral network, which is
only
put up
when you're
some
on the network.
some real bangers. The Raindrop song, listened to that probably 85 billion times, and it never got old once.
Raindrops keep falling. I gotta stop. It's too perfect.
Yeah.
We'll get copyright striked.
Yeah.
The algo will recognize.
Yeah.
Did you know B.J. Thomas, who wrote that song, was also the original writer of Hooked on a Feeling before Blue Swede did a cover of it like 5 or so years later and made it more famous? Hooga chugga, hooga, hooga, hooga chugga. Sorry, I need to stop too.
Yeah, geez, you're going to get us in trouble.
Yeah. Chaka hooga, chaka hooga, chaka.
That's right. All right, so after this, you head to West Fort Knott. From a tar pit, red-robed figures emerge along with a circle of those religious statue figures. Then 4 of them lift a coffin out that they had transported through the Plategate. So this is this figure that they seemed to be worshipping, or this thing. But from that tar, a red-masked they lift the coffin out that they transported through the Plategate and from the tar, and a red-masked, yellow-bellied, robed figure emerges. And this is Higgs. I love this, right? The circle of acolytes make obeisance to their prophet. He removes his hood, but he has a new look. He's sporting a feathered haircut, parted down the middle, dyed red with a black split-tone ombre. I give this look a 3 out of 10. How about you?
I actually quite enjoyed this change.
From
Higgs's look.
It's a fresh fit.
Fresh fit of just feels like a new villain from the first game.
I think it definitely leans a lot harder into the like Egyptian vibe, right? Because we saw a little bit of that in the last game, and now it's like he's coming out of a what kind of looks like a Egyptian sarcophagus or like a tomb or whatever. He's got his arms crossed, I think, and he's got that eyeliner, the golden eyeliner on his mask. And I do really, really like how his mask changes expressions between camera angles. It gives it this ethereal, weird uncanniness to it. The haircut is, I'll give you, the haircut's a little silly, but...
I was referring to the haircut.
Yeah.
Right. But it seems like he's combined a few ideas. Like, his mask seems to be like a Japanese theatrical mask. And you do get, like, the Egyptian prophetic stuff going on. It also seems like he's directly referencing Kiss, the band, in a lot of ways, with the white makeup and the... Yeah. But... he also almost directly looks like the character from The Crow, which is like a 1994 movie where...
It's Dwight's favorite movie.
Is that what he... I forgot that's what he says.
That's what he says. It's like when they're playing like Desert Island movies or whatever in the office, and then Dwight's all upset about Michael and Ryan, and so Jim calls out and he's like, Dwight, what's your favorite movie? And he like waves his hand like, I don't want to play, and then he goes, The Crow.
That's really great. I need to watch this movie. So it's a dark fantasy action film directed by Alex Proyas, adapted from James O'Barr's graphic novel. It tells the story of Eric Draven, a musician who, along with his fiancée, is brutally murdered on Devil's Night. Love this setup.
Ooh, yeah. It's good stuff.
1 year later, Eric is resurrected by a mystical crow and returns from the grave with supernatural strength and near invulnerability. Guided by the crow, he methodically hunts down the gang responsible for their deaths, driven by vengeance and fueled by a lingering bond with his lost love. Who does that
I'm
sound
just
like?
laughing at the idea of this crow like calling to his friends like, oh crap, I did something wrong. And then
I watched a scene from
super
this.
zombie.
I watched a scene from this where it's like there's a bunch of like gangsters and bad people around a giant long table, and it straight up just looks like this was the inspiration for the scene from The Dark Knight, where he comes in and shoves the guy's head through a pencil.
Oh yeah.
So they're all just like doing their bad guy stuff, and then like a crow flies in. They're like, "What the heck's up with this crow?" And then this guy, this musician guy comes in and then just starts murdering all of them. And he's got this punk rock thing with like the white face and the black eyes, and like he's got like he actually has like hair kind of similar to what is going on here with Higgs, but it looks more similar and frazzled like the Joker. So you should look into that. It's pretty uncanny.
I think that they also did a remake of The Crow that came out a year or two ago.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
What's the guy? He plays it.
Bill Skarsgård.
Bill Skarsgård. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I think they did a new one with him in it. So.
Okay. Well, I
don't know why I know that. The Crow movies and subsequent remakes are not at all on my radar. I don't know why that's in my brain.
What about the one done by Moira Rose?
Yeah. The Crows Have Eyes.
Crows
3.
I wish that was a real movie.
The fact that he was a musician who is out for revenge, and the fact that now Higgs is doing this music thing that we'll discover later, I think that's connected. I feel like that's part of this inspiration.
Yeah, that feels way too similar to not be it. If it's not. Yeah.
I didn't know he was doing a music thing. Spoilers.
Well, okay. Well.
Rude. I'm just kidding.
It also feels like it's inspired by Mad Max, partially.
It does have some weird kind of Mad Max-ish vibes, yeah.
This is the only thing that I feel like is spot on inspired by Mad Max.
Yeah.
So, anyway. And what's to say about his weird yellow belly? It kind of feels like it is a pod, but with organs inside of it, intestines. So that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, Sam goes to shoot him after he hears a Higgs voice, but is stopped. Says that Higgs shouldn't be alive. Higgs declares himself to be a ghost. His mask's mien or expression is changing between shots, so we already went over that. He says he's there for revenge on Sam and Fragile, but he knows he can't kill Sam. He's become sadistic, and he leans in and notices Lou is dead. He calls the pod a coffin. Love this, because it's awful. And he asks if he's there on a walkabout. And now, everybody, did you already know what a walkabout was?
I mean, I guess.
Out?
I don't know.
Have you seen Lost?
No.
Oh, that explains it. John Locke goes to Australia to go on a walkabout. But he's in a wheelchair, so he can't. And so everybody makes fun of him and tells him to go.
It's a wheelabout.
It's a wheelabout.
Yeah. So it's an Australian Aboriginal rite of passage where young people spend time in the wilderness to learn survival skills and connect to culture.
Oh, see, I thought it was just you're walking about and just exploring. I didn't realize it was an actual, traditional thing.
It's an Australian Aboriginal thing.
Huh. I never know where Kojima is going to apply meaning and where he's just going to say words,
I've just watched a shit ton of movies and television, and so things catch my ear sometimes.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I've seen Lost way too many times. I know what a walkabout is. Because John Locke makes way too much of a fuss about it. He's got no legs.
I do want to say I do also really like the part where Higgs calls the BB pod a coffin. He like leans in real close and like puts on this kind of fake like sympathetic voice, like, oh no, oh I'm so sorry, oh a little coffin, and it's just like skin crawlingly awful. Yeah, it's just like this like smirk and smarminess about him that's just like, oh no, I'm so sorry that your child died. And it's just like the worst possible way that you could like broach that subject with the person. He's just poking at him and being awful, and it's terrible, and I love it.
Yeah, and presumably, as we understand, you said that, you know, these are the red rubbed figures that were connected to Lou dying earlier, so if not him, then his people are responsible for Lou's death, presumably, and he's just being really casual about it.
Yeah, and he's just like, oh, NBD, sorry I killed your baby. Yeah. Oh no, yeah. It's dead. Probably, who was it? I have no idea. It wasn't me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he tells Sam that Sam knows nothing about Lou, so implies there's a backstory, and then he holds up the dream catcher. So I guess he just steals it off his person because he's a pickpocket. I don't know why he steals it, if not as like a totem to be able to jump to the beach and back or something like that.
He also has Kibu as well, which is like has the two big beach jumping items. Yeah, which I think is I don't know.
Yeah. Amelie's Kipu should be able to transport him directly to Amelie's beach, so I don't know why he also needs the Dreamcatcher, which is specific to Sam and Amelie. But he just lifts it and doesn't really explain it. So maybe that'll come back.
Just being a jerk.
Alright, so he doesn't want Sam to connect the chiral network, no longer believes in extinction, but wants fear and violence. So he's different, he's got... And then he turns around, he's got this creepy gold-toothed smile with golden tears, and then the golden Higgs boson formula back on his forehead. I think that this is the moment that it's stamped back across his forehead, because that's when he pulls the mech out of the tar.
Yeah. So, sorry, you finish your point. I have another point I want to make. You finish yours.
Well, yeah. So the Higgs boson formula, remember, the Higgs is supposed to stand for like the particle of God. Higgs boson formula, or the Higgs field, is supposed to be the particle that denotes like that the Higgs field exists or something like that. I explained that very poorly, but Kojima leaned on this idea to say like Higgs is the proof that the beach exists. That's essentially why he got named Higgs. And so when the Higgs boson formula is on his forehead, I think that is like a requirement for him to be able to so casually reach down and pull things out of the seam.
Yeah, so in the last game we had talked about Amelie is the one that gifts dooms, and by extension was the reason why Higgs was able to pull BTs and stuff out of the tar and to control them the way that he did. And so my first thought with this was like, where is Higgs getting this power? It's not from Amelie. And then I realized that he wasn't pulling a BT out of the sludge. He was pulling some kind of mechanical something or other. So he's got a different kind of power now that's coming from a different source, whether it's from him or from some other thing. But I don't think it's from Amelie this time around. I don't think it's a Dooms situation, and I might be wrong about that. But that's what I'm hypothesizing right now.
Yeah, I think some level of Dooms is inevitable. To just Doom sufferers, like some people can just get it, and I don't think she's directly choosing who gets it and who doesn't, but she can increment it voluntarily. I think that's kind of what was denoted.
Well, we see at the end of the last game, though, that when they're fighting on the beach, that Amelie revokes most of Higgs' Doom powers.
Right.
And so I'm wondering, so him displaying a new kind of power now, I wonder where that's coming from.
Yeah, and it's very clearly not a BT. They're not BTs here.
No, it's a giant weird mech thing.
Yeah,
but for some reason these mechs are in the tar pit, which is the seam. So for some reason these things can travel in the seam.
Well, the H.P. Lovecraft Magellan is in the seam as well. So
yeah. All right. So anyway, after this, he gets in his sarcophagus and he descends into the tar. And then a hexapod spider laser mech starts attacking.
That's the
dope
name.
It's the coolest sentence I've ever heard. This mech is awesome. I love it. I want a little action figure of it to put on my desk. So cool.
Yeah. So this biomechanical creature has like a very distinct vibe from the cosmic monsters of the first game and this game, because those, had, I don't know, just because it has rigid form and stuff like that, but also it feels more Transformers or whatever like that. It just like it feels so distinct and like a new class of its own, but it also still has like flowing tendril-like animation to its form that is very fascinating. That feels in its biomechanical designation.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I really like about it is because it feels kind of like a mixture between Kojima's older works and his newer works, where he was with Konami and was able to make the Metal Gear Solid games. Konami retained the rights to that IP, and so Kojima isn't able to make Metal Gear games anymore. But this like mech feels kind of like a mixture between the giant Metal Gear mechs and a BT. And so it's just kind of fun to like see Kojima unofficially combining, these two IPs to like, he's like, I want to have a giant mech, which is something he used to do a lot of in the Metal Gear games, but I'm going to make it kind of like a BT. And I think its design is just super cool. I'm a big fan.
Because it's Yoji Shinkawa.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Got your designer.
Yep.
Hey, got your cat. All right, so after this fight, Fragile discovers it was Higgs. Sam reminds her that he called himself a ghost. Fragile's distraught that, Lou's death was her fault, as she should be. Higgs should be stuck on the beach after she jumped him there and left him. Sam posits that it was his voice, but never saw his face, so that puts
But the mask looks like his face. It's like a molding of Higgs. It's Higgs, for sure.
It just puts it in a gray area of like, is it physically him or not?
So another thing, just backpedaling just a tiny bit, when Fragile is distraught and she's like, oh no, that was Higgs, I should have killed him. And I was like, yeah, you should have. Yeah. Everything about Lou's death is all the way a direct result of choices that Fragile made. And it's like, she didn't do it on purpose, obviously.
Is the real villain of Death Stranding.
But she's like, if she had killed, the whole first game, she's like, I want to kill Higgs. And then when she gets a chance to kill Higgs, she's like, nah. And then in the second game, she's like, go run an errand for me, I'll watch your baby. And then Higgs comes and kills the baby. And it's like, it's like indirectly, Fragile is making a lot of decisions by accident that led to Lou being killed. And it's not her fault per se, but I'm still holding a grudge. I'm having a hard time letting it go.
Yeah, it reminds me of what's it called? Invincible, where Invincible arcs from never killing to killing.
In the show, like the
show, yeah, by Robert Kirkman.
Yeah.
Because that's basically an arc that's never, it's rarely done. Obviously they did it in Breaking Bad, but usually it's like, if especially a superhero has a moral absolutism to never kill, they have to test that over and over and over again, but they never ever ever cross it, and they have to put it to its absolute limits. And here it's like, well, you had an absolutism to not kill, and look at what damage it did to you. And she just like all the way immediately regrets it, and it seems like she already knows she would do differently if she had the chance.
Yeah. Yeah, there's an animated DC movie based on a comic run, but where it's like the Dark Knight. It's like the final face off between Batman and Joker when, like, in the future. I'm so mad that I can't remember what it's called. But it's like an older, gruffer Bruce Wayne, and he's like he just kills people now. He's more murdery. And he has this great line with Joker. He's like, all the people that I've murdered by letting you live. And it's like, ooh, I mean, kind of. But
not wrong.
Yeah.
It's very, utilitarian, and it's
Dark Knight
understanding.
Returns? That can't be it.
Yeah, so this is where Fragile tells Sam that Lou's killers were
Dark Knight
dressed in
Returns.
red.
I'm good now. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. And that this could have been Higgs. Sam, I guess, didn't know that they were dressed in red. Sam doesn't blame her, and, cool.
Good for him. I'm not there with you, Sam. I'm still kind of mad at Fragile.
But then Sam becomes haunted by not knowing Lou's backstory and asks Fragile to look into it. This won't redeem her in any way, but she does feel obligated to oblige.
As she should. Any favor that Sam asks, she needs to, get on that.
She's on it. Alright, Sam has a nightmare of the murder right after. Bridges, let's see, I think there's another flashback here. I don't think I wrote that down. Bridges' official threatens repercussions if the man doesn't go along. Bowles indicates that there's no choice. After that, Fragile talks about the dead man message. BB-28 was decommissioned 4 years ago. Sam met Lou 2 years ago with Igor Frank of Corpse Disposal. Lou was relabeled as BB-28 and placed into storage. Lou's mother passed away after a C-section. Lou was kept in reserve without a still mother. So Fragile says that made sense, but we have learned that you can connect to any still mother. Because as we travel with a BB across the country, you can connect it to any pod, which can connect to any still mother.
Yeah, because
in order to revitalize
BB-28's mom was dead, and so, it doesn't need to be a specific.
Well, yeah, exactly. Although apparently it wasn't BB-28, it was BB something else.
BB whatever. It was Lou, yeah.
Yeah, so who did it? And we don't have the answer, and Occam's razor says that it would be a character that we know, because that would be the best kind of reveal instead of being a nameless person.
It was Norman Osborn the whole time.
Yeah. But that would kind of leave like Die Hardman, Bridget / Amelie, and who else was around at the time? It's really those two.
Dead Man, maybe? How long was
Dead
Man?
Man, that he was around.
Yeah.
Okay. Something to work with there. Alright, so Tarman leaves books in your room. One has a picture of his son, so you can go return that to him. Tarman has phantom limb pain, similar to Ahab in Moby Dick. So,
and that's the book that gets left.
Exactly.
Moby Dick.
So that's the coincidence, not coincidence. He's kind of doing a Moby Dick thing. Moby Dick bites off Ahab's leg, and it gets replaced with a peg leg, and then he suffers with phantom pain, as it is not known at the time that the book was written. But he suffers that for the rest of the book.
Anyone catch the reference there?
Which one?
So Metal Gear Solid 5 was subtitled The Phantom Pain, and Big Boss, the character that you play as, is missing an arm, and he's got like a mechanical arm in place of it. So
nice.
There you go. Kojima making a cheeky little reference to one of the games he worked on previously. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the only cheeky reference in this game.
No, there's so many. Yeah.
All right, so he talks about how the ship was originally a research for creatures in the tar, which he calls chiral mammals. Now, I always thought these were just BTs, but he's calling them something else. So I don't know if these creatures floating around in the seam or in the tar are a different entity. And I think that they are, because something different happens here, and I think I can explain it. So they snag this cosmic whale or chiral mammal out of the tar, and it's or you can call it a pregnant Cthulhu whale, and His son
Pregnant Cthulhu whale, new band name, I call it.
Yeah. His son runs out there, doesn't clip himself in like an idiot because the tides aren't bad. And he goes and touches it, and he leaves one of those handprints. So it's a literal black handprint. We've never known if these were literal or if somebody was walking around and they got translated to handprints on the other side of the seam. But he actually can turn his hand into a handprint. So that denotes that these handprints that we're seeing all over the game are actual handprints. I think.
It seems that way. Yeah, I had a similar thought where it's like, oh, that's like, we've only ever seen that from in like a kind of a ghostly BT way, but to see someone hold up their hand physically and leave that kind of tarry handprint behind, I think that's the first time we've seen that in either game.
It is, yeah. And so maybe it's something that only happens when you touch something of a specific type of surface or whatever, and that can translate into that imprint as sort of like a chiral transfer between realms or whatever. So something about this chiral mammal is different in that it seems to, as we learned, be a portal of some sort to the other world. I don't know. They explain it.
Well, it's pregnant, so it is something from the world of the dead, but containing life.
Yeah.
So maybe that has something to do with it.
So after he touches it, the handprint disappears, and then it tilts up, and you see a golden Karelian inverted T appear along with timefall that starts to fall, and let's see, then BTs emerge from its opening. Tarman and his son fall into the water, and the whale turns to crystal and bursts. His son starts aging from all the timefall, and in a flash, his Tarman's hand gets caught up in the water and disappears, and his son is gone. So Tarman explains he thought the black cat was his son reincarnated at first, but no longer does. Dahlman calls the BTs from the womb hunters specifically, but Tarman doesn't call them offspring. Dahlman refers to the womb as a gateway to the other side. The tar and the beach are connected, which we already knew because the tar is the seam. So, what do you think about all this?
I was thinking, I'm wondering if, so Tarman's hand gets chopped off and it helps to guide the Magellan, the whatever Magellan. And I'm wondering if, like, is his hand with his son? So he thinks that maybe if he can find his hand, that his son will be there too.
That's probably right.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing of just there's this, I don't know, man flesh can exist in the tar just fine and be there indefinitely, which is a really interesting, I don't know, concept to where, like, back to a son, okay, if the son is in the tar, yeah, is his son still alive and just suspended in a weird state? Which I think gives some cool character motivation to Tarman. Like Shan mentioned before, is everybody on the www.magellan are, have different motivations that brings them together. And so, it definitely feels like Tarman's motivation could be trying to find his son. And that's why going in and out of the tar is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And connecting the chiral network for him is so important because he has his motivation to find his son.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least have closure on what happened to his son.
Yeah. Alright, so I think this is denoting that a chiral mammal is not actually a catcher. I think a catcher is a separate entity. But a chiral mammal is a carrier of amalgamated BTs. Although we do think it is known that catchers are also amalgamated BTs. So it's unknown if chiral mammals are also catchers. But this might be saying it's separate. Anyway, the womb is where the hunter BTs are birthed into the seam. This explains the whales and such. They are the seam's mammalian entities that birth the floating like tar BTs into the seam. So the womb of that chiral mammal is the in-between space for life and death into the beach, and it needs to be a water mammal because they have umbilical cords. These are placental animals. Did that make sense? So the beach is a liminal space, the seam is a liminal space, and we always see these inverted whales and these chiral mammals swimming around in it. And so why are they always there? And we just saw now that hunters can be birthed out of their wombs. We know that wombs are the space at which, like, people are born into one world or the other, and at 7 months they're exactly halfway in between. So I think, much like humans in our world are birthing humans into our space, these sea mammals or chiral mammals are the mammals inside of this seam that are birthing these BTs into the seam, because we all know that everybody has a BT equivalent of their Ka inside of the seam just floating around, because every time Sam dies and needs to repatriate, you look behind him and you see a black tar version of himself, and then you go float down to the beacon version of yourself to repatriate, which is more of like a symbolic beacon as opposed to the literal version of yourself. That's why there's two versions. So I think that black version of Sam that's behind you when you die, I think that is the type of cause that are these chiral mammals are birthing into the seam through their placenta.
It makes sense that it would be an aquatic mammal too, because it would have to be able to survive in the seam, which is a beach. So
yeah. So I think this explains a lot. And this is another one of my crazy rants that in Death Stranding 2 or 3 I'm going to be proven correct on, right?
I mean, the logic tracks excuse me. Excuse me. The logic tracks for me, so.
Although I love the idea of an aquatic mammal birthing humans' cause into the seam. That is hilarious and gorgeous.
All the way weird. I would expect nothing less.
Yeah. And that explains why so many BTs are like amalgamated or giant versions, and catchers are amalgamated versions of BTs. I love this. So that's one of my big epiphanies that I need to tweet at Kojima. I want him to disprove me or not.
At Kojima, I figured it out.
I think he has like 4 to 7 million followers or something. He would never notice me.
No, he'll totally see it. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Oh, who's the Shan guy? Yeah, I'm into that.
Oh, Shan from the Sad Dad podcast. I listen every week. Let me just respond to this real quick. Then I'm going to invite him to my house and I'm going to scan his face.
He has 4 million. That's what it was. He has the most followers of any like game director, obviously. Like nobody else. Like Druckmann, Sam Lake, they don't even come close. All right,
he's legendary.
So after this optional part, you can. I think it's optional. I don't know. I always do it. So after this, you get to head to Rainbow Valley, and you come across a red area that's just completely saturated with this red filter, because I think the seam is enlarged here from there being an enormous presence of BTs. So we know when a large amount of the seam can overlap on itself, then color bleeds out through the seam. And so we saw this with the giant cosmic whale at the end of Death Stranding 1. All of the color seeped out through the giant seam and where the whale came through and colored this whole area in a reddish orange glow. I think that's what's happening here. And
because it's like an Australian desert, it has like a lot more of a red feel to it.
That's right.
I didn't much care for this part. This is spooky scary. There's lots of BTs and like it was difficult
Watchers.
Traversing this area. Lots of watchers, friggin' watchers, man. Those guys suck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so after you get through this area, go to Rainbow Valley, you come across Rainy, and it's playing Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, if you go at night, I saw in a video it plays a cover version of this song. It's a duet of two females singing it, as opposed to the BJ Thomas version. And it's gorgeous. So she's dancing around in a raincoat and with an iridescent umbrella, and also the rain that's falling is iridescent, so it's got this soapy aesthetic to it. And also they've slowed down the animation, so it's kind of floating like bubbles. So this rain seems to be healing anything it touches. She dances around a fire hydrant that is uncovered from the tar that was on it, and then she gets spooked by Sam, runs into her place, and Dahlman says he hasn't seen her dance like this. And apparently he hasn't seen Singing in the Rain and Gene Kelly, because that's obviously what this is.
Yeah. And then
anyway, but
I think that
in Singing in the Rain there is a fire hydrant in that sequence, but he never dances around it. So I thought
he dances like around a lamppost and like a
So I thought it was interesting to focus on the fire hydrant when that was just like such a side note in the show. Like it was just background. There is a moment where like Gene Kelly is dancing underneath like some water coming down from a gutter or whatever, and then removes his umbrella and it splashes on his fedora. That is similar to what she does with her umbrella underneath a waterfall. So you've got some references, but I do think Kojima did it better. I think this is very well choreographed.
Yeah, and the water effects are like when she goes, there's like a stream, like a tiny waterfall, kind of like a stream of water, and she holds up her umbrella and then lets it go and lets it fall on her. And it's just like, and the way that it splashes and cascades down, it just looks like real water. It's incredible animation and rendering. Very good stuff.
Yeah. Also, while she's dancing, you get a glimpse of like a non-inverted rainbow, but it's sort of like doubled, where it goes from like violet to red back to violet. I didn't know how intentional. Like, it's not
double rainbow.
A double rainbow or triple rainbow. You're talking about the triple rainbow.
Oh yeah, the triple rainbow guy. Yeah.
But I mean, I think it works really well here because like we learn like Rainey's superpower with core fall being the opposite of time fall. And so you have these two, like, you have the time fall, but then you have core fall, which I think makes sense of the double reverse rainbow. It's both are existing at the same time around Rainey.
Yeah, so what inverts the refraction in a chiral rainbow is the chiralium that's inside of timefall. Like, that is a chiral refraction that flips the colors from the 40 degrees to 42 degree angles that are needed for a rainbow, and it changes the color refraction. And it seems like, well, and to just take that away, you'd get back to a normal rainbow. And so something is very specific about her core fall that is doing something different. It is not just removing the chiralium, it is like doing an inverse chiralium, but not like it's a mirror chiralium, but it's not a chiral chiralium, which would be back to normal. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up, obviously. Obviously, it's a little hand wavy here.
Yeah.
But I do love the iridescent look. I had to look into it because I didn't know how to delineate all of it, but it is not pearlescent, it is not opalescent. Those are different things, even though they seem very similar. There's a difference in like opalescence and milkiness and stuff like that. I had to figure out what the difference in terms were. So
get your words right, Shan. You sound like
bubbles
an idiot
are
right
iridescent.
Now.
Also, okay, so raindrops keep falling on my head. The first time you hear this in the game, and every time after, what is the only thing you had associated with that song before this game?
Spider-Man 2.
2.
Yeah. where he decides to not be Spider-Man anymore, and he watches someone gets mugged and then eats a whole hot dog in one bite.
And then the professor compliments how well he's been doing in class, and then it freeze frames on a blurred version of his face.
Nothing's
as
worrying
he's smiling.
Me. It's the worst and the best scene in any movie ever, probably.
No, well, worse than that is when he goes goth.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. The air humping dance is not a good look on anybody. Yeah.
He eats the hot dog while an ambulance speeds by, so it's a little bit different.
That's what it is.
Yes,
yeah. The ambulance speeds by and
he just
everything.
He throws that hot dog. It's
Gonna
not
ignore
like
that.
Eat it like a normal person.
It looks
because
just
he
like a
had to
bun.
skip
I'm not even
lunch.
sure there was a hot dog inside of it. But
It's just the hungriest he's ever been.
also, there's no rain that falls during that entire sequence.
It's metaphorical rain, Shan. It's not literal rain.
But he's so chipper.
Yeah.
So, like, even the meaning of the song doesn't make sense. Other than
just,
like he keeps tripping sometimes.
I want to know. I want to know, like, Sam Raimi, when he shot that, and then he's like, this is my vision for this, and then they edit it, and he watched it, and he was like, that belongs in a Spider-Man movie. And like,
okay, so I don't know if you think
it does.
I don't,
but like,
I don't think you know Sam Raimi at all because he has a tree raping scene.
Oh no!
Yeah, have you not seen The Evil Dead?
I have
Yes.
not. No.
Oh,
Sam
go
Raimi
watch the
shouldn't be
original
allowed to
Evil
touch
Dead.
movies anymore.
Yeah, I don't know the cult following he has and why. Yeah, it's just,
And if you thought that it was maybe because he was a sophomore director and that, or freshman director, and that was his first attempt, and maybe he was repentant and had made a mistake, don't worry, he remade the movie and put the tree raping scene back in it. He doubled down.
Ooh, don't ever double down on that. Yeah.
I guess it's a whole forest that rapes. There's not just one tree.
You know what this
Well,
reminds
that
me
makes
of?
it better.
But it also has a sound effect
Whapa!
when the tree
Nope.
penetrates.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
You know what it reminds me of is Arrested Development when Buster's like, yeah, like anybody would R her.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway,
You
I
need to
do
watch The
think
Evil Dead
Kojima did it
and-
better.
Yeah.
Kojima does most things better.
Better than Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
I have,
You're better
Spider-Man
at things
2,
than Sam Raimi. You're not a better person. Yeah.
Sam Raimi does campy good. He does it well.
Yeah.
It's still insufferable at times, but he knows how to camp harder than anyone.
Well, and I genuinely like Spider-Man 2 is one of my favorite superhero movies. I think it's genuinely a very good superhero movie. It has some weird moments. Yeah, this scene is a little weird, but I kind of like it for the dumb campiness. But yeah, I still think on the whole, really solid movie.
Yeah, that's probably the only actual good thing he's done because like most recent is what, the second Doctor Strange movie? Yeah,
Hated
and that
it.
is just rough.
I don't even remember, I remember watching it and being like, that was fine, and I haven't watched it again since, and so I don't have any really strong feelings one way or the other.
It was so tonally a stark contrast to the first Doctor Strange, has there been 3?
No, there was
I
just
think
those
just
two.
2.
Yeah.
But he's been in
okay.
like a million Avengers movies and stuff, so.
It's just to go, I understand it's a multiverse, you can kind of get away with some genre bending, but to go from the expectation set by what was the first one and to jump into the extreme campiness of the entire thing, and then he does a lot of hand waving around jumps in the story and logic, and it got really frustrating really fast. But the campiness was the hardest thing because it's that's just not what I was expecting from that movie.
Just weird, campy, borderline horror. Yeah.
Anyway,
you leave that to Capcom. They know what they're doing with campy horror.
Capcom.
Yeah, they do. They know how to dig all the way into campy beatless movie tropes, but to subvert it in a fun way and to I don't know. Just everything that Capcom touches turns to gold, except Resident Evil 5 and 6. But 5 is, Eric and I are playing through it right now.
I've never played Resident Evil 5 before. I've never played it before. I've played little bits here and there, but I've never played through it before. And so while Shan was visiting, I bought it, and we played through probably about half of it, maybe a little less than half. And it's fine. It's not bad.
Are you guys co-oping it?
Yeah, we're co-oping it.
Oh, nice.
It's like a worse. I mean, you can tell that they just they were like, people love Resident Evil 4, and so they just kind of did it again and changed some things and learned some of the wrong lessons from Resident Evil 4. It's not bad. It's just like it's decent. We're having a good time with it, but there are some glaring flaws.
Super well, because I played it. I started playing it, I don't know, a few years ago, and I was like, oh, this is not aged as well as I wish it would have.
It's definitely not a bad game, but it's got some moments where you're like, ooh, this is not a well designed level. Like,
yeah, well, that was the thing. Like, unambiguously, the level design is shit. It is insufferable. It is so much worse than Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 was the departure of Shinji Mikami, who led like all Resident Evil games up until Resident Evil 4, and then he took off, and it's like, well, we don't know how to do this without Shinji Mikami, and he's off with like what's it? He went off with Tango after this, and did his own thing. But they clearly didn't know how to write, and they didn't know how to do level design, and so they just like reskinned the characters, and they also didn't know how to be racially sensitive, so it didn't age well. Like,
you got to be real careful when you set a game in Africa. Just like, what was the one part? There was one part we were playing, and it was like you go to like a village with like grass huts, and there are a bunch of like tribal people, and they're like, and I don't even want to say this on the internet, but they're jumping around like.
Making
and like go, oh, no, and it's like, no, stop, like don't do that, like.
Yeah, they're just like straight up doing like little jumping weird things.
If you ever seen Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls, it's basically just
also not a good look.
Yeah.
Like to some degree, something like that probably exists in Africa. To dig all the way into all the superficial stereotypes that you understand from things that in literature or movies that were based on like things that were probably never completely true, and just to go so hard into the campiness of stereotypes of that stuff, that's where you went the wrong direction. Resident Evil 4 didn't feel like it was racially insensitive at all. It just felt like, yeah, this is a Spanish town. This feels completely accurate. This, wrong direction. This person didn't know how to write. He didn't know how to do
a little too hard into the.
Didn't know how to study
some spots.
That culture at all.
Yeah.
I think you could have absolutely done a game in Africa, and it wouldn't have felt like this. But they did it the wrong way.
So, anyways, Shan and I are playing through this super racist game and having a good time.
How many times do you just spam the Caris?
On accident, because we always think it's some other button.
It's like where the reload button is, or something like where it should be, or something.
Yeah, because like if it's a two-person puzzle, we have to open the door together, and you just have to sit there and call them. Yeah.
Over here, come on, let's go, Caris.
Caris.
Yep.
Anyway, the last thing I was going to say to end this before episode 4 is that you get into her greenhouse. She has the burbs that she saved. She's preggers, and this is revealed to be Rainy, played by Shioli Kutsuna, who is Yukio on Deadpool. Who? She's a very minor character.
Yeah.
But
I don't know why I didn't feel the need to look her up. Yeah. I don't know why I didn't feel the need to look her up, because I saw her and I was like, she looks familiar, and then that's as far as I thought about it. I wasn't like, I'll look it up. I was just like, I wonder if I've seen her in anything.
Yeah. Anyway, we are not going to do episode 4 or 5. I knew this was going to be a struggle.
Yeah.
But I was pushing really hard, and we got nowhere close.
We got off on some tangents. We discussed some good deep lore. I think there was just a lot to unpack in episode 3. So
much
next time, join us for episodes. Well, it's our episode 3, and then
Eric's doing an outro. Way to go!
5.
Just kind of naturally slipped in there.
I did it.
Yeah.
I did we're done. Just close it. I already did it.
Like, comment, subscribe, bye.
Yeah.
No, so we're going to do, I think next time we could very easily do episode 4 Raindrops, episode 5 Conflagration, and episode 6 Chrysalis. I don't know if we can get to episode 7 Pod, so probably just those. 3 sounds perfectly fine. And then we'll be caught back up with, pretty good pacing of like 2 per episode. So anyway, that's going to do it for us today. Please like, comment, subscribe. You can find us wherever you find podcasts. Please listen to Eric's Indie Corners on Thursdays. Thanks, y'all.
Finger guns. Bye.
Outro. Bleepity-doof, bleepity, bloopity blow.